Kim, did she call you?
She may have left a voicemail, but I didn't.
Okay, I did get an email from her earlier today with her opinion.
Okay, and she just said that she cannot be there, but she called Larry with her opinion to Larry.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well,
you may
I-
want to listen to it,
I will.
I don't know, because I leave before she gets home.
yeah. Got it.
Who did hear that?
I heard from Sarah earlier.
Bingo. That's,
I
Yeah,
think
an
that's
email.
enough.
that's fine, as long as she told somebody, because
Right.
I don't even think well, maybe I have my phone.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
6:03.
Yes.
6:03?
6:03, we are in session at a special board meeting. Basically, everybody's here except Sarah, and
We have no staff,
no staff, and
no ladies.
agenda. Any changes? I didn't think so. Adopted by acclamation unless there's an objection. And we'll go right to the issue, which is hearing from our three experts, their opinion on the two GM recruitment companies that we have heard from so far. So.
Okay, shall I
Go
kind
ahead.
of
Yeah,
summarize?
Leslie, go ahead.
The whole thing, all right. Carol called Prothman Recruiting Agency and did speak to them at length. We do have a lot of information from them about what their process is. She got some names to call to get references, et cetera, et cetera. And her response basically is that she would be very comfortable if we were to choose Prothman. Sarah called Management Matters and again went through a whole series of discussions with the man, Jeff, what's his last name? Yeah, and Jeff Evans, about what his process would be and the fact that he could get started right away. He takes on one client at a time and devotes all of his time to that one client. What we discovered from Prothman is that they apparently have several clients at a time, but they do have different employees managing each one of these different interviews. I called some people, since I went through this process to the end of it with Prothman and for the Water District, I called some of the people who had been through it just to get their opinions on, what they thought of Prothman. And what the feedback was they had great respect for Prothman, the company, but it's kind of a toss-up who you get to manage a project. And they weren't totally comfortable with the person that they, who managed the Water District project. And given that, I sent my opinion to Carol and to Sarah, and I said, as far as I'm concerned, in fact, I'll just read it. With Prothman, we would be assigned a project manager who would be a wild card. The company's reputation is very good, but we'd be subjected to whoever is assigned to us. With Management Matters, we would have Jeff Evans himself managing the search. We would be his only client. And my opinion is that for this reason, Management Matters would be the better choice for us. Given that, I got emails back from both Sarah and from Carol saying, yes, they heard what I was saying. Carol got a little bit of a hint of that from one of the references. And so we will recommend Management Matters as the search firm to go forward, based on the agreement of the rest of the board. Okay, do we want a motion?
At the moment, no. I have
Okay,
some
we want some
questions.
discussion, okay.
I mean, we've received your report. Your report is that you're recommending Prothman.
No.
No.
I'm sorry.
Management
Management
Matters.
Management
Matters.
Matters, excuse me,
Yeah.
excuse me. Okay, now, the questions I have relate to the criticism of Management Matters from the last meeting, that their fee structure seemed to be too open-ended, and that the proposal seemed a bit too
No,
slim.
the Management Matters one was a fixed fee. It's Prothman that was open-ended.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just reading off my notes
Right.
here. Fixed fee. Okay, and what about their proposal? I have a note to that effect. Now, maybe it was the wrong, that I put it down on the wrong spot.
Okay. As far as the proposal goes, I think that he did include that as part of his presentation.
Someone mentioned that it was too slim.
That was, as far as I was concerned, Julie Adamant was too slim.
Well, that was, yeah, no,
Yeah, no, that
I wasn't
was-
even writing down notes.
Yeah,
about
okay.
her. Yes, ma'am.
I felt actually, in looking at Prothman, and I may have been the one who said that, I felt Prothman's was fairly slim. And in fact, when I called them, I asked them for specific information about contingencies. Should our candidate be accepted and then leave within a year? They said they would do a follow-up for another $600 fee and then additional expenses. So very similar to what they were doing. But there were a lot of things that were not covered in Prothman's proposal that I felt were covered very well in Management Matters. I didn't see anything lacking in Management Matters. That was my opinion. So I don't know who else might have felt that it was.
Just reading off my notes.
Okay,
that I
I-
quickly took from.
I can read from Sarah's notes here about their process.
Yeah.
Steps he would follow if we went with him. He will start at the board level with the position description, details, and finalization. He will then advertise the position and do letter and resume submittals initially. He will send a follow-up set of questions to the qualified applicants. The follow-up questions will take the applicant 1 to 2 hours and include management-style type questions. This also helps to weed out the people not truly interested. He usually gets over 20 applicants. He will screen them down to 10 to 12 based on their responses to follow-up questions. From there, he will do phone interviews to get to the final 6. These final 6 will do phone interviews with us via either the entire board or a subcommittee of the board. We would then narrow down the field to 3 finalists. These applicants would come to Sudden Valley one day for a comprehensive tour, 1 day for meeting with staff, and another day for interviews with the full board, and that's, I think we can negotiate that. Once we choose a finalist, he would do a background, psychological, and deep financial check on the individual. He does guarantee the person for 6 months, and if we don't like any of the final 3, he will continue the search with just out-of-pocket expenses for him until we complete the process and hire someone. That's Management Matters.
Okay. Are there any other questions from anybody about? Yes, ma'am.
Did anybody, I think I sent an email to all 3 of you ladies about, do we have any realistic schedules from either of the 2 finalists of what, in weeks, that sort of thing?
Carol?
Carol?
It's almost impossible to say how long it will take. A lot will depend on our ability to move forward, but he can start Wednesday or Thursday. And that means we could be having candidates very quickly. Whereas with Prothman, because we don't even know who's going to be assigned to us, and I looked on their LinkedIn site, they have about 30 positions posted right now, so I think they've got a lot of other things going on. But I'm hearing 6 to 8 weeks is not uncommon.
That's
To get started?
No, for
No,
you to
complete
get
the
to a
process, yeah.
final interview process. That doesn't mean that you get a candidate by then, because it depends on whether the candidate is already employed, has a contract, has to let know.
We will
give
get started
notices.
on Wednesday.
Yeah,
The question I have is just to clarify your statement about 6 to 8 weeks is common. Does that mean it's common for Management Matters, common for the industry?
the
common-
industry,
Okay,
I'll
all right,
say,
thank
I
you.
have no idea what I didn't ask Management Matters what they, but a lot will depend on the candidates they get and how quickly they can get through it.
Mhm.
Odell has a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of more of a comment and just clarification. I think Leslie actually already answered the question for me. My initial concern with Management Matters, thanks, was the cost. They seem to be the most expensive of the 3. That's initially why I was leaning towards Prothman. And I was kind of wondering, what does that extra money get us? And I think Leslie just kind of answered it. So in light of the fact that we are behind the 8 ball, that's just a fact. There's no sense in rushing it or trying to save $1 when we're end up going to, pay tenfold later on down the line, take the extra time. And yes, it is the most expensive option of the 3, but in the long run, hopefully it'll benefit us.
Just to clarify your statement, in other words, Management Matters being able to start right away is a plus.
Yes.
That justifies a little bit of extra cost.
Exactly.
And not, okay.
Yeah.
all right.
So it's the Prothman numbers that are kind of open-ended, because there, again, there's a set fee, and then there's a lot of other, you know, they charge for every little thing they do, so we don't know what that's gonna be.
Right,
Yeah.
right, understood.
Okay,
That's-
Rich has a question.
Yes,
That answered, what she said was what I was going to
Yeah.
point out.
Okay, that makes it pretty easy for me.
And just a comment, I like the idea it's fixed and with all the nickel, they can nickel and dime you to death. Also, if I understood it correctly, if we move on this, then Jeff Evans would be overseeing this thing.
Yes.
The principal in the company,
Mhm.
and I think that speaks a lot as well. And it's, the steps are very clear, and this feels, I feel very comfortable with this. I don't like open-ended kinds of things.
Carol.
In talking to Prothman, one of the other things I noted was that they weren't quite sure, of course, they hadn't seen our job description yet, but they weren't quite sure whether a city manager or a public works manager or a facilities manager, I mean, they fill all those positions. What I liked about Management Matters is the fact that they strictly fill HOA positions, which means they already have a good idea of what we're looking for, and they can help us refine our job description and any number of other things.
Just to bounce off of that real quick, is their bench of potential candidates likely to be only people who have been in the HOA industry, or do you think that they will also look at people that have similar experience in cities and whatnot?
I can't answer that from Management Matters, I don't know, but my guess is they are looking at anybody who would fit the bill. I also think, though, that they are looking strongly for people who are extremely well qualified, which may mean that they have CMAI, certifications or
PCAM
whatever.
and all that,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, so the answer is you don't know for
I don't
sure.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, of the 15 candidates he has placed,
Mhm.
one left after 3 years, one after 5, the rest are still in place.
After how long? Some unknown
Yeah,
period.
unknown period of
Okay,
time.
all right.
Is there a deposit or a retainer we need to put down with them? I can't see that they said whether there was a retainer, and if there is, now that we know what company we're going with, do we need to generate a capital memo?
I talked to Jeff Evans today and asked him to move forward, what would be the procedure. He said, just let me know, I will send you a contract, which will be pretty much our proposal in contract form. He said you may want to have an attorney look at it if you wish, fill it out, but in addition to what's in there, it will have a fee schedule as to what needs to be paid when. And, but he said, I can go to work for you Wednesday. So I don't know that what I would like to do, if the board approves, is to bring a funding memo to the meeting on Thursday for us to actually put the money aside to pay his fee. So, but other than that, I didn't get the sense that he was gonna sit and wait on it until he got any kind of money.
It's just to understand the process.
Yeah.
Anything else? Then what I'd like is to suggest a motion to proceed with working with Management Matters. The motion shouldn't be obligating us to use them, but that we're gonna proceed with getting that proposal from them and pursuing stuff so that, we're not locking ourselves in if we see something later that causes us concern.
Okay, I haven't seen his proposal, so I don't know that all I can say is that we would go forward with the intent of having Management Matters begin our recruitment process. That's what I would like to do.
That's exactly my
That
point.
would be my proposal then, my motion.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any need to discuss that?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If it's just the intent and you're gonna wait till Thursday, how can you start on Wednesday?
Oh, we're not gonna wait till Thursday. Why would we?
Oh, I thought we were gonna start on Wednesday, but you said Thursday. Okay.
It could start on Wednesday, however, I guess my concern is we don't have a draft contract. Rich hasn't looked at the contract, we don't have actual
I see your
costs
point.
yet. And so
I get that. I
it
think
would
what,
be fine with me if the executive committee acted on it on Wednesday. That's certainly doable, but all I was asking for tonight is the board to say, we're gonna go forward with management matters, and we'll leave to some other time the decision about whether we're actually gonna use management matters.
okay.
So, does that help, David?
Yeah, for me, I'd rather make the motion and move on this thing unless something comes up that would stop it going forward, but I think we have to move time frame as such, and it looks like there's some really valuable information we already have here. I almost don't like the conditional, I almost want to say, let's do it. If something comes up, then we could stop it, but I think we need to go forward.
Okay, well, so you're actually voting, you're urging that this motion as worded not be adopted? Because it's too cautious for you.
It's
Yes,
too cautionary.
I
Yeah.
think we need to move on it, I think. I think we have to move.
That's a fair comment, okay, so he's not in favor of the motion.
Rich?
Any other comments? Yes, Rich?
You're not locked in until you put the name on the contract. So, I mean, even if he starts and it blows up in your face, and you say, okay, we're not going with this, really all you're gonna be obligated to do is pay him for his time for what short period of time it took you to decide. So unless you sign the contract, you're not locked into the value of this proposal as it is anyway, so.
That's a good point.
Well, then, as the way this particular proposal is worded, you're not in favor of it, because you're agreeing with David.
No,
You-
he's not.
No, I'm not agreeing with Dave. I'm saying you should go forward because I think your risk is minimal.
He is agreeing with you.
He is agreeing.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
sounds
so
like you're agreeing with David.
I will withdraw my proposal.
Well,
Is that okay with you, David? Because you seconded it. The proposal to just,
Why don't we just do that? Because
Redo it.
you
Let's
talked
just
against,
redo
you
it.
talked against it, and you said, we can always back out until we get our name on the contract.
Right.
And that's what David said, we can
Yes.
back out until we get our name on the contract.
So the motion would be then from whom?
The motion needs to be made essentially that we move forward working with management matters.
make that motion.
Seconded.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any need for further discussion? All right, then unless anybody objects, call the question. All in favor, raise your hand. That's a unanimous. Okay, we will proceed with management matters. And
Make a
I'd like
motion to adjourn.
we'll.
I have,
Is there a ball game
No.
tonight you're
I
watching?
got another meeting in 10 minutes,
No.
right here in this
no,
room.
I will give you 3 minutes, okay. You also have been given a copy of the GM specifications, okay? And have you looked it over, and are there changes that you want to make? Because if we start to talk to Jeff Evans, we want to be clear about what we want as far as the general manager is concerned.
I will send I will send some suggestions to you, but they're not outrageously substantive. They're really
Okay.
just in the line of adding some areas of responsibility, as was discussed last week.
Okay.
A few other wording things, but that's his job to tell us how the wording is supposed to be.
Well, no, it's our job to say, here's what we want. Now, you help
Absolutely.
us out.
Right,
Okay.
I'm talking wording. That's,
Yes.
yeah. Yes,
I
ma'am.
was thinking a little bit, Mitch's contract was actually a really good contract about his obligations to us. And it would be nice if we're sure with, especially the things we liked in that contract, to make sure that they're in the specifications we send to management matters, that's all. Because I was thinking about that the other night when we were looking at those qualifications. And I think that Mitch's contract had lots of really good things in it.
Okay.
Obviously, that'll be part of our discussion with them. They'll advise us on whether they think it's a reasonable contract. And some of the stuff like the operating manual, that's not relevant anymore.
That, I'm just saying there were some things in there
That
that
were
were
very good.
very, very relevant and good.
I tell you what, it would be helpful if you emailed Leslie probably with what you think are the best points in the existing
Okay,
contract.
yeah, and I will say that to everybody. By Thursday, we would like to have from you, if you have any additions or concerns about the GM description, and just send it so that we have a starting point to talk to Jeff Evans. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Move to
Good of the
adjourn.
order.
Second.
Okay, and we're adjourned at
At 6:23.
6:23, shortest stinking meeting ever.